Good evening, everyone. This is the November 7, 2018 meeting of the Arbor Conservation Commission. This meeting is being broadcast live and is also being recorded for later viewing for those who are so inclined. The meeting is available at the town website, which is arbonguide.com. Before we begin tonight's hearing, I'm required to ask if anyone in the audience is making a recording of this meeting. Okay. Since no one is volunteering that they are, the first item on tonight's agenda is a 7 p.m. public hearing, Scribner Development LLC, a notice of intent for construction to replace an existing failed septic system at 411 Leicester Street. Is there a motion to open?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed to vote? Did you hear from Jason?
No.
Okay. I do note that we have requested a few meetings back peer review, and in fact it appears we received the report from Burton Engineering dated November 1 of 2018. Do we know if a copy has been provided to the applicant's representative?
I couldn't tell you, really.
Okay, so it seems to me that we should make arrangements to have that provided to him, because he's not here tonight. Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we present.
Send a copy of the peer review.
Oh, so I'm sorry, that we send a copy of the peer review for 411 Leicester Street, since no one is present here this evening.
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. Okay.
Can we continue that hearing, or opened it, so...
Well, no one's here, right?
Yeah,
So
but
I
we
think
opened it,
So we'll...
so can we, I don't know.
we can continue it generally. Okay, if he wants to reschedule, he
Okay,
can contact us. I mean, these matters are on, this is, when things are put on an agenda, this is just kind of for everyone's sort of information.
okay.
If a matter appears in our agenda, we expect someone to appear and make a presentation or respond. And we've had instances where matters have appeared in the agenda and no one has been here to present, make a presentation or respond or comment. So it's kind of a waste of everyone's time,
Yep.
and it shouldn't continue. So
So we're
gonna continue it generally.
Hearing is still open, and we'll just have to,
correct.
okay. Alrighty.
The next item on tonight's agenda is a 7 o'clock public hearing for Alvin Pope, a notice of intent for the repair of an existing septic system on property at 515 Rochdale Street. Is there a motion open?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second that.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed to vote. Now, in this particular case, members of the commission went out to 515 Rochdale Street. This is a case, just for the record, where an order conditions have been issued by the commission over 3 years ago. For unknown reasons, the work was never commenced within that 3-year period. But work had actually started on the replacement septic system. I went out over the summer and it started being constructed. We closed out the former order conditions, and the applicant had filed a new notice of intent with respect to that system. The work has been done, and so basically this is a situation where the cart led the horse. The work has been completed. We made an inspection of it. Erosion control measures remain in place. The area where the septic field has been installed it has grass, a good crop of grass growing on it. So I mean, I think we can issue an order of conditions with the understanding that in fact they have done the work. So any comment from anyone?
Are we allowed to issue them a certificate of compliance?
They haven't requested it. I think, we have to follow the procedure. Notice of
Okay.
intent, order of conditions, certificate of compliance.
Okay.
And again, this duplicate effort would have been avoided if they had actually filed a request for an extension of the original order of conditions within the time period, but they neglected to do that. So,
Okay.
If there's no comment, is there a motion to close?
Make a motion to close the public hearing?
Okay, is there a second?
Second that.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, to vote. Okay, that took 5 minutes. I'm going to take matters out of order for a bit. You will recall that at the time of our last meeting on October 24th, we were going to send a letter to Joe Goodman at 498 Rochdale Street. This is the case, as you will recall, where he was instructed to provide us with a remedial plan to address an open enforcement order that the commission had issued. He did not meet the deadline, and I believe the deadline was the last meeting of October 24th. We were going to send him a letter asking him for, I think we gave him a deadline November 1st, is that right?
Yes.
Unfortunately,
Get something to us.
I'm advised that, and again, this was a matter of public hearing. The meeting was available at the town website, had you chosen to see it. We didn't get anything done. In the meantime, the letter, I'm informed, did not go out. And we've had multiple discussions about this going back over the last 2 or 3 years. My suggestion, because Mr. Goodman has not been responsive, is that we just refer this matter to DEP for enforcement. Is there any, that's just my suggestion. What are your thoughts about it?
I concur that we should send that to DP.
Okay. All right, so is there a motion?
I make a motion that we send the information from Mr. Goodman's, property to the DEP.
I'll second that.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's a vote. Okay. And Sheila, what I'll try to start working on a letter, because I think it's important. I know you provided me with the chronology a while ago.
Yeah, I
And I
have
think
that.
that and all the documents that, because the file I think is pretty thick at this point.
Yeah.
So, okay, very good. We still have a couple minutes before the 7:10 public hearing. Do you know if a visit has been made to 34 Mill Street?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't think I even asked them. Every time I go to ask, everybody's busy.
Can you just
The
shoot
doors
email
are
to them,
closed. Yeah, okay.
please?
For the health board, right before the health department, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the building.
We also, on Saturday, went to, it was 77 Berlin Street, right? Tom? And so it appears that this is a property that I believe had gone into foreclosure. And so someone actually has moved in there, and it appears they've also added some sheds to the property. And the question was whether, and it appears the sheds are not permanent, they were put on
Blocks.
blocks or something, so then it's not a permanent structure. But the question was whether or not the shed should have been placed, or if there was any issue of it being placed near the wetland and the stream there. So I took some pictures, and did you have a chance to, you went to see that too, didn't you, Allison? Berlin Street?
I don't think so.
Okay. Tom and I did, and it was quite an eye-opener.
Yeah, I did.
Was
So-
it just last Saturday you did
Yes,
the
Yes, yeah.
during the rain.
The
Not the
first-
drizzle, the regular rain.
Okay.
No, it was a really regular rain.
So, and I think it was, I think the question was, if I recall, I think you would send me an email, Sheila, it was an inquiry from Caleb Moody, whether or not there was a
Yes.
violation. Well, the answer is that it is,
Okay.
you know, so,
Oh, the one that we looked at, yeah, sorry.
you know, because it's within 15 feet, I think, of the brook area, and
Very close.
it was, yeah, very close, and it was flowing, the brook was flowing
Yeah.
very well that day.
So they've got multiple sheds, did you say?
There were 2 sheds.
Okay.
We didn't go onto the property, but the one we saw that was closest to the road was clearly in violation. They hadn't filed with us. And I don't think it's frankly that big of a deal, because I think they can move the shed, but they need to be
Yeah.
informed that they can't stay there. If they want it constructed there on a more permanent basis, they need to file with us.
Okay.
So, I mean, I suppose we could issue an enforcement order. My suggestion would be that we just get a message to Caleb advising him that the shed shouldn't be where it is.
Okay.
And that if they want to keep it where it is, then they have to file with us.
Does that water go underneath the road?
I think it
As you
does.
go around fully away? Because then there's one more 79 Berlin, right?
So is there a motion to that effect?
Let's see. Motions. I make a motion that we send a note to Caleb, telling him that 77 Berlin Street, the sheds would have to be removed because they are within the wetland area, within 15 feet of the wetland. Is that correct, 15?
15 feet of
15 feet
the stream. Mhm.
Stream, wetland. And if they intended to keep the sheds, they would have to put them, they would have to apply for a permit. From us.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, is there any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed to vote. Okay. The next item on our agenda is a 7:10 public hearing. Stephen Ryder, request for determination for the removal of 5 trees along an abandoned tail race on property located at 35 Rockland Road in Auburn. Is there a motion open?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second that?
Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Aye, opposed to vote. Would Mr. Ryder be here? Good evening.
How are you?
Are you Mr. Ryder?
No, I'm Mr. Chandler, his father.
Okay.
Oh, okay, thank you. How are you today?
Oh, thank you.
I'm sorry, can you just state your name for the record, please?
Dick Chandler.
Oh, Mr. Chandler.
Oh.
Good evening, sir. So what do you have in mind?
I have in mind of taking down definitely 5, maybe up to 8 trees along my property line.
Okay.
The last 3 in question depend upon the negotiated price when the equipment is there.
Understood.
But the 5 are coming down.
Okay. And is that for aesthetics or because they are
Well,
deceased?
the middle one is deceased and has partially fallen on the house in the past, snapped off. The other 4 are just in the way, and
Okay.
well overgrown, they're useless.
Okay. Sheila, do we have a copy of the plan? Oh, there it is, thank you.
That's okay, he's going.
Okay, so the trees are the green dots?
Correct.
Yes.
And the 3 questionable ones are up on the right-hand side of that line.
Gotcha. Okay. And so what would you do with the stumps? Would there be stumps or would you grind them down?
No, I'm going to leave the stumps as close to the ground as possible.
Okay. And when would you want to do this work, sir?
Well, it was scheduled for November 19th, but it's been delayed because they can't get the crane.
Okay. What kind of trees are these?
Can I peek at that?
Of course, I'm sorry.
Some kind of evergreen pine trees.
Yeah, how tall are they? Real tall.
A couple of real tall.
Okay, all right.
So these 2 are here, and then the others are along.
So this is the property up on the screen here. These are the trees, I'm assuming.
Where are you?
Unfortunately, not looking north at this point.
Nope.
Not 35 Rockland Road?
No.
This is the stream
She's
right here?
35, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's
She's
35.
Yeah, she's 35.
Oh, okay, I'm looking at it the wrong way. Yes, that's
Is
the...
that
East
a
Brook Road.
culvert there? And assume we're just...
Are the trees where the arrow is, Mr. Chandler?
Well, right about along the line where the 35 is. You can't see
Are
them
they
from that
on your
picture.
property? Some of these look like they're off your property.
No, they're not.
Your property is right on the road,
The
right?
green dots here?
You don't... That is the property. The property line is the center of the abandoned tail race.
Oh, I got you.
This dark
This line
line.
here, right here?
Yeah.
That's the center line, the property line for the 2 lots.
Got you. So 2 out of these 7 trees are on your property.
No, all 8 of them are on the property.
It's not a triangle shape like this?
That piece is, but that's not 35 Rockland Road.
Oh.
That's
then-
1 Brook Road. I own that also.
Oh.
Oh, so you're up in here then?
Yes.
35's up here. Yeah, this is, you would think this was, yeah.
It's the only plan I had.
Yeah,
Just trying to get clarification.
yeah.
Oh, I see what you're looking at. Brook Road is over there.
So once they, you can acquire the crane, how long do you think the work will take? Can it be done in a day or a couple days? How long will the work take?
Oh, 3 or 4 hours.
Okay, all right. And then, of course, everything will be moved off-site.
They're taking it all away.
Okay, very good. Okay. Any questions from the board?
No.
So once, assuming the weather holds up for you, you'll do it as soon as the crane's available, is that right?
It was scheduled for the 19th of November.
Right, understood. Okay. All right, if,
Actually, the colder the weather gets, the better it is for me. It won't dig up that lot that I own next door.
sure, okay.
Do the wetlands need to be marked, or is that not that kind of
Let me see the plan again.
does the stream and the wetland the same jurisdiction already?
Well, right. So I'm just looking at this plan. The plan. Oh, so yeah, this is no plan. This plan was done back in 2002 by Burton Engineering, which is no longer in business.
It certainly sounds like it.
So you can see where the wetland flags are.
Yeah.
See that little green
Yeah.
line comes from the right to
It's
the
a
left?
20 scale.
Trees.
It's a 20 scale. It's,
Okay, they're gonna get
I mean, clearly it had. He had to file with us. Okay. All right.
Okay, good, yeah.
All right.
I see where-
Okay. Is there any comment from the audience? Yes, sir.
I live directly across the street from that property.
What's your name, sir?
David Balkis,
And what's your address?
41 Rockland Road.
Okay.
Can I see the plan that he's talking about?
You see that there's one-
I live across the street, I see no dead trees in his yard. So I don't know if the Conservation Committee has gone out to look at these dead trees.
Well, even if they were not dead,
Nothing.
doesn't he have a right to cut his own trees?
Well, it's in a flood zone,
Yeah.
so that comes into play. The root system,
How so?
there is a river along those banks. I'm assuming those trees hold up, support the riverbank somewhat. The root
Okay.
system. So cutting the trees down, I guess, would end that.
So when you say river, it flows continuously?
It's loaded right now, it's full right now, yes.
But does it flow continuously year-round?
It can be just wet sometimes.
So it's not a river,
necessarily
it may be an
flowing.
intermittent stream.
Are there any trees that are remaining?
You cutting them all down?
There's only 5 there.
Okay. So all 5 trees are going?
Correct.
Five in that section right there.
Okay,
See right here. Yeah, those are those.
And that
go ahead.
river that was just mentioned is technically an abandoned tail race. Or it's not a river at all.
Right, but the fact that it may flow, it could be, would qualify as an intermittent stream, and that would still give us jurisdiction. Which is
Oh,
why.
I understand that part, but the technical term for what there is an abandoned tail race.
Okay, all right. Any other comments?
And where would this crane be entering and cutting the trees down from? 35 Rockland Road or is
From
other property?
my property on Brook Road.
Okay. All right. If there are no other comments, is there a motion to close?
Motion to close the hearing?
Is there a second?
Second that.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed to vote. Okay, Mr. Chandler,
Thank you.
Thank you.
with any luck, we'll have a decision for you this evening.
Thank you.
Okay? You're welcome. Thank
I
you.
am not here tomorrow, Richard. I am not here tomorrow.
No, I know that, right.
On Tuesday, because Monday's a holiday too.
Okay.
Okay?
I just dropped it.
Okay.
This is not going to happen by early anyway.
All right.
Okay, thanks.
Good enough. Have a good night.
The next item on our agenda tonight is the 7:15 public hearing. Marshall Provost. A notice of intent for the construction of a single-family dwelling, septic system, and roof runoff, filtration system at 0 South Street here in Auburn. Is there a motion to open?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second that?
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed to vote. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Garland, thank you, and Conservation Commission. Thank you for the site inspection. Glenn Kowalski from EVT Environmental, thank you for the site inspection on Saturday, during that rain event. We did get to walk down the cart road.
Rain, not drizzle.
Right.
We did get to walk down the cart road and view the old gravel pit. Again, the cars were parked over here, as you know. Here's the
Yes.
railroad tracks, yes, as you know, and there was the cart road. The fence is, the gate is here, and
You're going down or something.
Mr. Provost and two members, Tim and Mr. Garland, walked down and we looked at this open pit area. There's a tree line showing up in here. Again, we're going down the original cart road that gained access to the gravel pit, and as I explained in my project description, the pit was still in operation three and a half, 4 years ago when Mr. Provost sold off L&H Sewage. He had been using it for loam that he would use on septic systems or for clients or stockpiling. The point is, it's been a gravel pit for a number of years, and as he explained, originally back in the 50s or so, it was some part of the cow farm. And originally, he still recalls when cows crossed the river and got in there from the other access. There's 34 feet frontage here, and if I flip the plan over, you'll see there's a 50-foot frontage coming in off of a more southern portion of the lot off of South Street. And again, as I explained, the reason why we chose this location, because we're going to go down an existing cart road, which is this, and not alter new riverfront area. If there's anybody looking to see this, I'm sorry if everybody's all set. And then gain access to an area that is, the house would be outside the riverfront area, outside the buffer zone. There's a small piece of riverfront area in here that we did ask to keep altered, and we are restoring riverfront area, removing any tires and deleterious material that's along the forested edge. We didn't see a lot of that, but it was pretty poor and we didn't look at it, but there is deleterious materials in here that from the operation over the years, we're going to pick that up, reloom that this portion, and then reforest that smaller portion. Your chart over here explains it all. It is a wood turtle habitat, and we do have to conform with MESA. And this plan, which I'll submit this evening, there is one revision for MESA. They require that we screen. If we do not do the project, if the commission is so kind to approve the project, we cannot, if we work the project when the turtle's roaming the land, which is sometime prior to the 15th of November. From November till March, they're in the water, in the river, overwintering. And in the spring, summer, and early fall, they're roaming the land. So if they're roaming the land, which Mr. Provost doesn't plan on doing this project during the winter, during this time when they're in the water, we would have to screen from turtles entering into the job site. There's education that you have to give to the workers. You have to close the gate, close the barrier at the road once you get in, and then open it up to leave. So it's a rigorous process to ensure that you don't crush any wood turtles during the construction of the project. And for that reason, we did change the silt fence entrenched. I do call for S&M Farms, which is one of the most professional erosion control installers, if you're familiar with them, I'm not sure, but everybody from Burlington to Western Mass uses that company. The reason is they have a ditch witch. It can entrench that silt fence 4 to 6 inches down instead of somebody putting it under here. So we plan on entrenching the silt fence all along the edge, all the way around and back. And it also will be aimed, it's slightly tilted outward. I just did this at the Sunoco gas station in Oxford Center, just north of it, two and a half years ago. And that prevents the turtle from, it's a good climber. It does climb up chain link fences, silt fences. They tell you can't use hay bales because they'll climb up that. So by having it slightly angled outward, when the turtle's climbing, finally its back 2 legs can't grab on because the body is now suspended over the air, if you look at our detail, and that prevents them from climbing up and then getting in. So we've used it, the state liked it. Let's see, Michael Jones is the herpetologist at Rare Species. We've worked with him before, and that's what we're going to install to ensure that we keep the turtles out. There's more to the protocol. We will submit the full protocol to you, but under the MESA, that's a separate law. Under the Wetland Protection Act, they did write the letter, and I believe you have it, that it says we're not going to be affecting the habitat of a rare species. In other words, under the Wetland Protection Act, it's a go, but under MESA, we just have to make sure if anything comes to that area, it doesn't get in and get crushed.
Okay.
So, again, pre-existing. And again, the other way was crossing 3 wetlands to come in through the riverfront area, through a forest, and back. And if you choose to see that plan, it is the second one under this.
Right, that's fine.
You know, so
Okay. So would you like to close tonight? Or
I would, but I had called the engineer, and I asked him, where is he with ZBA? because he felt after discussions with Matt earlier, before Matt left that position, and discussions we've been having during the summer, that it wouldn't be a problem. But I hear that he has now gone to the building inspector, been denied, so he can go to the ZBA.
Yeah, he's got an application in, and it's the 20th of December.
And it's the 20th of December. The prudent thing to do for us, I apologize, would be to keep it open until ZBA is concluded, because if there was anything there and we had to revise for any reason, then we'd have to come back again.
That's fair.
So thank you again for any
Okay.
meeting directly after the 20th of,
Well, it'll be your first meeting in January, right?
I would say.
such,
Yeah.
so be it. We appreciate that.
You get a map or a calendar?
Should be like the 13th, right?
Hold on. I can get it.
My guess.
December 20th, you said, was that ZBA?
Yes.
We're
Thank you
meeting,
again.
we have one meeting in December, and that's going to be the 12th.
Yep, I understand. I was just writing it down for
Our first meeting would be Wednesday, January 16th.
16.
16, 1, 16, 19,
Right.
ACC. Thank you.
So is there a motion to continue the public hearing?
I have a question.
Sure, please.
How would the turtles be kept out permanently?
No,
after the
they
construction?
actually will
What would happen
mess-
to them? What would happen to them? That's okay. What happens?
What happens with them is that during construction is we most of the time see a problem with if there was a turtle to roam through that area, potential fatality. And so that's what they keep them out during that time. And after construction, there is no more protocol. Once it's stabilized and you receive a certificate of compliance, the silt fence could go. I'll just use a small example, if I could, please. In North Brookfield, at one time, I was on a perennial river, and that's probably 20 years ago, and in the loom pile, during the construction of the driveway, I got there for some reason after, I didn't permit it, and there was two dead wood turtles in the loom pile. So they do get killed during these construction, and what the rare species is doing is just making sure during construction, where more activity is occurring, that they're not getting into the site.
So then after the construction
They
is
can still
completed,
roam
they
the
can
site.
still roam, so a prospective buyer would know that, of course, that they would be roaming.
Well,
Well, then check.
the buyer is actually, the provost are going to be.
I'm sorry.
Yes, I
the
see.
buyer. Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
and it's-
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Any questions from the audience? Okay, there being none, is there a motion to continue the public hearing to January 16th?
I make a motion that we continue the public hearing to January 16th, 2019.
And that'll be at 7 PM, Sheila?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
Thank you again.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed to vote?
Thank you for your time.
Okay. And then, Ms. Gravosky, I presume you're here for Mr. Tarian as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, as everyone knows, I have to recuse myself from that matter. So Tom, if you would take over and get me when you're done. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is 416 South Street. And going in after that.
Thank you again. Again, Saturday's inspection was pouring. I did ask Mr. Fallon if you wanted to go up there at the time, and you said at that time, after the Provost inspection, that you were set with the site. I know that, I apologize, Ms. Holmes may have still had some questions on it. I did leave it that at any time I'm available to, hopefully before tonight, walk this lower area. That we had augered the soil all across this area, and if you looked in here, there was soil borings showing non-hydric soils coming down to this tip, and then it went from 10YR44, 46 non-hydric soil matrix in the B horizon. It finally transitioned into this 10YR43, 53 transition chip, redox within the first 12 inches. Evidence of saturation, wetland plants started picking up, went to bury. It's a very narrow strip of wetland. This guy's yard comes down here, this angles down, and then it flowed out. At some point down here, I believe you had felt it was wet. We never did get to walk down there. I did ask Mr. Fallon if he needed that, another site inspection. He felt, I'm not speaking for you, I'm sorry. It was a sad day. Whatever you might have felt, I don't want to speak for you. I think we walked away in the pouring rain, and I think you thought that it was fine, but that's all I have on that. We discussed it once before. It is a single-family house. It is tight soil. It is a 45-minute perk rate soil. a tight site, but there's houses to the left, houses to the right, and we're in that open area. And we did respect the 25-foot no disturbance zone on the plan. If there was any, the only thing I can offer, there are some exotic species within the 25-foot zone. It'd be our pleasure to work to remove those. It would be multiflora rose, Tartarian honeysuckle, oriental bittersweet. There's some of it. It's kind of here is a lawn coming down on this side. This is very narrow, as I said. But the 25-foot zone comes to the edge of the septic, the silt fence, water line, which we have here, is bordering right up against that 25 at that one point, and then arcs away from the 25-foot, and protects anything down gradient with that mitigation line, erosion control line also. There is a garage, and then again, the house is up towards the road.
I did visit it on my own. I didn't see any problems there at all. I didn't go Saturday.
I'm just not sure why the topography, why is it wet all the way up here at 621, and then, you have 618,
She was
617.
concerned there might have been some-
This was very wet in here when we walked down, and to me, at
Did you
some
walk?
point, this would kind of fan out and find contour.
The actual large wetland is at the base of the hill, and because, yes, the water comes out of the hill up here, the high groundwater table does start perking out of the soil at that location. It is within 12 inches. It does create hydric soils, but the whole hill system, as you might, I'm sure you saw, grades all the way down to the bottom hill to where the tracks are, which is still another 300 to 400 feet. And I augured the soil to prove it is a wet season. We might agree on that. And I augured the soil to ensure there was no non-hydric soil, that there was non-hydric soils in this area, and that's why this line is where it is, and I augured along that line. And it does continue to grade down for another few hundred feet before it hits the bottom, where there's a continuous wetland at the bottom of the hill. So yes, there's wetlands up the hill, there's wetlands grading down the hill, there's wetlands further down the hill, but that's the nature of a hillside wetland. And because it's wet now, again, our water table is artificially inflated at this point. We've had so much rain.
It was vegetation too, it just seemed like it changed and...
It's a tight soil with 45-minute perk rate. The vegetation can be transitional, but even with transitional vegetation, you still would need that water table there long enough during the growing season to create hydric soils, and I didn't have it. And so the regulation is, and if you present soils, and I did leave those soil boring locations out there with descriptions on the orange flags, just in the B horizon within 13 inches of the soil surface, which is the reg. If it's within 12 inches of the soil surface, it has to be hydric soil. So I'm not saying that there wasn't hydric soils 18 inches down or 24 inches down, but within 12 inches there wasn't hydric soils. And again, it is a tight soil, so you're going to have a lot of transition species in there because it holds moisture at 45-minute perk rate. This is not a gravel. It's a hydrologic soil group C, and nearly, if it got any tighter, it would be a D.
And there's no room to move that septic system further away?
The well radius over here, we have a couple of well radiuses. Sure, that's a well radius from your neighbor, which is Orsi. There's a well radius we have over here. So there's that, there's that. Is there room in that direction? Yeah, again, that's why I offered the site inspection. We could move it away. It does conform to the regulation
I
at
wasn't going to go on the
50
site inspection by
feet.
myself. It didn't seem to be pertinent for me to be the only person
Well, I would have
to see
more
or
than...
disagree.
I went.
Yeah. No, it was pouring out. It was pouring out. That's the
No, that's
reason
it.
why.
And that was my purpose of offering through Sheila for probably we've had this in front of you now, I think,
Yeah.
6-8 weeks, that I was always available, and I said, please ask the commission for the site inspection. And that's what I want, that inspection with you, so that I don't come to the meeting and then have questions here at the meeting, because you can't answer a
I
question at
would
the
have
meeting.
liked to have done the site visit too. I
Well,
felt like it
even
wasn't
Saturday
really
I was
being
avail-
presented because everyone else wasn't going,
My pleasure anytime, commission member. Even, I don't care how pouring, I had the rain gear, I would go, just to solve any issues. I have hearings 4 or 5 nights all the time, well, whatever, who cares? I have hearings all the time. My job is to close hearings, or to satisfy the board under the wetland regulation and satisfy the client under what he wants to do, if I can. So I'm there for that, and I ought to get the bugger out of the site, if I can use that term, because it was tight.
When is the owner plan on starting construction? Do you
He
know?
asked me, he's been anxious on this thing. He asked me a month ago, where are you with it? He asked me before I filed, where were we? Because it took a while for Jay Du Bois to, I'm not picking on Jay, but it took a while for us to get the plan. I wish this was here in front of you back 2.5 months ago, 3 months ago, but that's how long I've been waiting for this plan to get in front of you.
Yep.
So it's just been dragged out all through the summer. We probably got the project back in May, my group.
How much fill is it gonna have to be brought in there to make that septic work?
I'm not the... Those are questions for the engineer.
Okay.
All is, I can tell you this, that
They must have
what the
done some
perk
sort
rate
of
is,
mound
that it is
analysis.
not a rate, it is raised at the front end, it's, well, you can see the grade change. It's 629 at the top, and it's 621 at the bottom, at a 3-to-1 slope. And it's a extensively large system because of the perk rate. And yes, it would all be septic sand, and the system itself is the 130 plan, and the system is 80 feet long by 30 feet wide. So, will there be a lot of soil brought in? All septic sand? Is it expensive? Yeah, but yeah, that's the nature of high water table. I can say where the water table was here, so we can tell you one thing that I can't tell you without being on the site, that the water table itself was depth to design classification. I'm sorry, last thing here. I'm not the designer, that's not my job, but it's designed, it's 45-minute and 35-minute perk rates with 50-minute perk rate design, and at the top, I do not see the water table, but I can, at this point, I would see that it would be 3 feet down with the raised end of it, the high raised end of it, approximately 3 feet. So it's close to the surface, the water table, even at that location. But, again, it could be as close as 18 we've designed lots and still not be hydric, because it has to be within 12 inches of the water table. Or hydric soils within 12 inches, I should say. If there's another, if there's more questions, I'm here to answer them.
Any more questions from the board?
No, I'm all set. I'm all set.
So you were saying, Glenn, that you really couldn't move the septic system
I'm not
because of the
saying that-
wells, or you could, but not much?
Well, not much. You can move it more towards the property to the north. There is a leeway in that direction. He's near a setback. He is presently, he's 30 feet or 28 feet from the property boundary at the design. He would have to overlap the 2 holes that he presently has. The hole is in the middle, and the other one's at the upper end. Could a system be moved up? Before we would move that system up, I would first prove that there's non-hydric soils, downgrading of the system, in order, instead of having the engineer redesign a system. But it's not a lot that he can move it. 30 feet is still 30 feet.
You still okay? Okay.
All right, if there's no more questions, do we have a motion to close the hearing?
I make a motion that we close the hearing for 416 South Street.
Okay.
Second that.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. Thanks, Glenn.
All right, thank you for your time again.
I'll get Mike.
I'm still here for Masad later on.
Okay.
Briefly,
Yeah, 7:45 is scheduled.
thank you.
All right, the next item on our agenda is a 7:20 public hearing. ZPT Energy Solutions 2 LLC, notice of intent for the installation of a large-scale ground-mounted solar photovoltaic facility at 1 Henshaw Street. Is there a motion open?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, a vote. Good evening.
Good evening, how are you?
Very good, thanks.
My name is Barry Skolchi. I am with ZBT. What I thought I would just give a brief introduction to who we are.
Sure.
And then turn the presentation over to Rich Kirby from LEC, who will go over the wetland and other property features. And then Chris Ryan from Meridian, who is our design engineer, is here as well to provide some any supplemental information or answer any questions.
Very good.
ZBT, we are a local company, Worcester-based company, about 12 minutes from here. We have designed, developed, and constructed over 200 megawatts of ground-mounted solar systems in the Massachusetts market. For comparison, this project is a 3-megawatt project. So we've done literally 60 of these over the last 5 years. ZBT is a joint venture between Zero Point and Protec Energy Solutions. And really where we differentiate ourselves from other solar developers is that we stay with the project. We develop the project, design the project, we build the project. We do the operations and maintenance on the project, and in some cases we own the asset. Now what that means is that we're here for the long term. And that's a real differentiator from many of the other solar developers that are in this market. If there's a problem during construction, you call me. I'm a principal in the company. If there's a problem when the system is operational, we're here. We're here for the next 25 to 40 years. And we view this as a partnership. We're not just gonna develop the project, sell it, and run away. We're very proud of the work we've done. We've done work in many of the surrounding towns. They've been all successful projects, and we feel that this one will be successful as well. One of the things, again, because we are community focused, one of the items that we did is beyond the public notice that is required, we actually sent out letters to the immediate abutters to the project. And we actually got a phone call from one and had a conversation and provided some additional information. So again, we are very much an involved company, a participant. That's how we do business. So with that, I'll turn over to Rich Kirby and provide his description. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Rich Kirby from LEC Environmental, and our company prepared and submitted the notice of intent that you have before you tonight. This property is located off of Henshaw Road, which is off of Old Rochdale Street, which is here. Henshaw is kind of a paper street, Henshaw Street rather, that extends to the property from Old Rochdale. Most of you are probably more familiar with Leicester Street, which is the primary street that has frontage here. There's houses on both sides of the street. This site is generally forested. You do have some open areas and a field within this section here. You can see the open field there. Some shrubby areas in the central portion, but generally surrounded by forest. We have a man-made pond located just west of this section of Henshaw Street, which is really just a cart path at this point. And that pond flows through a culvert into this intermittent stream that flows down the hillside and off-site. We have another wetland area up here and another wetland area over here. Both of these wetlands are bordering. This one extends to a larger wetland system off-site. And this one, while separated from this wetland here, you do have channelization within it. So we labeled it a bordering vegetated wetland since there's an internal stream. Now in all likelihood what happens is the groundwater, the surface water goes underground and then pops back up here on this hillside, which happens sometimes when you have these site conditions. So what we're proposing, as Barry indicated, is a 3 megawatt facility. The array is basically this lighter green color here. There's two shades of green. This lighter shade here is where the solar panels will go. Those will be, the land beneath the solar panels will be vegetated with a native conservation wildlife mix from New England wetland plants that's on the plans. And access to the array will be provided with this meandering roadway extending from Leicester Street. You can see that we are proposing work in the buffer zone. The buffer zones shown here are in red. The first one is the 50-foot buffer zone. The second one is the 100-foot buffer zone. In all cases, we're greater than 50 feet from the wetland boundary. Our closest point is right along the 50-foot line over here. You can see for the most part we have a good 15-20 feet of space between the 50-foot zone and our limit of work. So our average setback from the wetlands is probably closer to 60-65 feet. We are proposing some grading, obviously. This is a steep hill to get up. We're proposing access from the Leicester Street, rather. And a portion of that access is going to be within the 200-foot riverfront area. And that's the riverfront area to a perennial stream located across the street and behind the backyards of the houses across the street. So the outer riverfront area, I think it's about 1,400 square feet that we're altering. There's an existing gravel entrance, and if you were to tool around on the Google Earth there, you'd see the gravel entrance. So we're taking advantage of that existing gravel entrance, and we're also avoiding sightline issues, considering this is right at a curve. We want to make sure that the entrance isn't right at the curve. So the regulations do allow for limited projects for roadways to renewable energy sites. Typically that's applicable when you have to cross a stream to get to a renewable energy site. However, I believe it's applicable here, us being in the outer part of the riverfront area. I don't think it's going to have an adverse effect, considering we're across the street from the river. You have the house, the backyard, the front yard all separating. And we're taking advantage of the existing gravel access way. And I explain all that in the notice of intent application. We are proposing some site grading, some pretty significant site grading to get the roadway up to the array. But we have a solution for that. There's a slope stabilization system that's been in use for many years, and it basically is a compartmentalized geogrid that is anchored into the slope, backfilled with soil, and then seeded again with this conservation seed mix. So that basically isolates the slope to many small compartments, as opposed to it being one large compartment or one large area of slope that could potentially slough off over time. That's detailed in the plans, and basically everywhere where you see a 2-to-1 slope, that's where it will be applied. In other areas we have 3-to-1 slopes, specifically around the detention basin and right here. Those will all be applied with the same seed mix and stabilized with an erosion control blanket. We have redundancy in our erosion control design. We have entrenched silt fence with staked hay bales along the limit of work. And then we also have a series of compost filter tubes proposed throughout the array. So that way, as we open the land up, we have multiple lines of defense, if you will, for erosion and sedimentation. This project is also phased, meaning we're not going to open up the whole site at once. We're going to phase it into 4 different sections, and that is shown on the phasing plan that's included in the application. Stormwater is going to be managed in accordance with DEP stormwater management standards, and to talk about that is project engineer Chris Ryan from Meridian Associates. Meridian prepared the site plans and the stormwater report that was part of the application.
Can we see that, the stormwater report?
I certainly have copies. I have them with me here, but I have them in the office.
Hold on one second.
I didn't give it to you, Michael?
No.
I definitely want to see that.
Yeah.
Well, we're not closing tonight.
I gotta go to planning and zoning. still.
Right.
Like this.
Good evening, my name is Christopher Ryan, I'm with Meridian Associates, we are the project engineers, as Mr. Kirby just described. So as he indicated too, as far as handling stormwater, what we wanted to do was, especially for the main part here, well, for the site in general, what we try always to do is to maintain the existing drainage patterns of the site. So if you look at the topography, you have some areas that drain down to this pond, some that drain off to the northeast, some that drain down here, and there's some that comes down the hill. So what we did was, in the stormwater calculation, see we have 7 different design points where we take measurements of the runoff leaving the site. So we have a series of surface infiltration basins around the property and coming down the road. As Richard alluded to, that since of the steepness of the hill, the amount of grade you have to traverse from the street up to the top, the really only option was to do a switchback road. It's a 20-foot wide gravel road with a maximum slope of 10%, and that's what the fire department had requested for a maximum slope. So nowhere along this run does it exceed that. We provide a adequately sized turnaround at the end, up into the fence to the array, so in case if an emergency vehicle has to come up, there's also will be sort of the shut-off mechanisms for the array in case of a fire in the field. They can just turn the whole system off right then and there and monitor it as needed.
What's the change in elevation from the street to, say, the middle of the project? Because the numbers are too small on
Yeah, I'm sorry. Down at the street, you're at roughly grade, looks like roughly around 640, elevation 640. Let me just get to the grading points.
I think it's even lower, actually.
Yeah.
Maybe 630. And how about at the top?
Up at the top, you're about
760?
About 760, 770 up where the equipment pads is. So it's quite a vertical drop to get from the bottom of the hill to the top.
Gotcha.
So, so it does have to be a fair amount of grading along the road because of the cuts and fills in order to make a sort of a similar slope all the way up. We have it, it pitches up here, this sort of flat area, and then you come up to the rest, and there's another flat area up the top. So that's why we went to the sort of the engineered 2-to-1 slope design. It helps to minimize the off-grading that we have to do in any part of the road, and that allows us to maintain many of the existing trees along the way. So it's sort of broken up visually. You're not going to be able to stand down here and sort of see all the way to the top. There'll be stands of trees in between, and also it breaks it up in terms of stormwater. So like I indicated, to the other plan, you have about half a dozen stormwater ponds placed around. These are all surface ponds, and they're all going to be able to do some infiltration to the groundwater to sort of decentralize the recharge around the site. We did soil tests on the site. We had a mix of sort of more of a C-class soil up here, sort of a sandy loam, more of a loamy sand on this part of the site. So we were able to infiltrate infiltration on these 2 ponds, and this one would be a little more rapid. So, so in the area here where we have some homes downstream on Leicester Street, in this particular basin we really we were concerned about the outlet coming out of here. So we put an oversized level spreader. So once stormwater exits this, it'll spread out to almost 200 feet of a stone level spreader to prevent any sort of channelized flow, to prevent any scouring, so we don't really have any point source discharges to speak of. So that way it will spread out any runoff that's coming out of the pond in the larger storm events over a much wider area. But we're also, it should be noted, at every single one of the design points, we're knocking down the peak rates and volumes of runoff that come off of this property versus what's up there right now versus the existing condition.
All right.
So,
what is the existing condition? Is it just a big treed lot?
no, it's mostly like I said, it's mostly wooded. There are open areas up at the top that are sort of an existing field condition, but it is mostly, there are large areas that are mostly wooded. So that's why we tried to maintain as much as possible while still allowing for the shading concerns. As far as the ground cover after we're done, everything inside the fence is, Rich mentioned, it's going to be sort of a meadow grass when it's done.
Okay.
That'll only be mowed like twice a year, so it'll be allowed to stay high and grow in nice and thick. Everything between the perimeter fence and the limit of disturbance, those trees, it's not going to just be clear cut, it's going to be stumped, and the undergrowth is left in place to allow for the roots to stay in, to keep the soil mound, to allow all the undergrowth, and eventually, to allow that to keep growing. Because the shading concern, it's sort of like on an angle. You have your array, and then this angle of the sun. So if this is the limit of my disturbance, I don't need to clear cut everything between here and here. I can keep it, let it grow, as long as it's not going to be tall enough to cast a shadow on the array. So we try to do that to try to maintain as much site vegetation as possible on the site.
Outside of the array area.
Yeah, between the perimeter fence of the array and the limit of clearing. Also, it should be noted that all these basins that we're proposing are going to fall inside the fence. So in case kids decide to want to go up and walk around, no one's going to be able to get into a detention basin and possibly have a horrible accident. So also, it's easier for the crews, once they get up there to maintain the system, they can just access it from inside instead of having to keep going outside the fence with vehicles.
Okay.
Also, around the perimeter of the array, there's sort of we always propose like a 10-foot wide flat grass area to allow for maintenance, like a pickup truck sized maintenance vehicle to sort of circumvent around the array without having to exit the fence to access certain parts of the array. So just like I said, to sum it up, it's going to be several surface detention ponds with level spreaders, outlet control structures to sort of throttle the outlets coming out of these ponds. They're all going to infiltrate back into groundwater, and at all the design points around, we're able to reduce the amount of flow coming off the site in the 2, 10, and 100-year storm events. It's both peak rates and volumes. So at the end of the day, it should be an improved condition as far as what's going to come down the hill onto any kind of neighboring property.
And where are you with the other boards in the town?
You're first.
Yeah, we're meeting next week with planning and ZBA. And we've also retained a peer reviewer.
Good, because that was going to be my next question.
Yeah, Burton Engineering, we've already
They've already got the plans.
funded the deposit, and they've been on board for about a week and a half.
Good.
Reviewing the plans.
Good choice. Okay. Any questions from the board?
I have a question. How long would the project take from beginning to end, would you estimate?
For construction?
Yes.
I would say probably 6 to 9 months. That's probably, the latter part is the interconnect to the utility, but that's the typical time frame for a project this size.
Okay. And how disruptive would this be to neighbors in the area?
I think when we came to the initial meeting with the department heads, yes, Ken, of course, he was asked that exact question, and basically there'll be a short period of time where there'll be a lot of truck activity bringing all the materials up the hill to stage for the array, and then once that's over, it's only going to be like contractors' vans coming up and down. But there'll be sort of a flurry of activity of larger trucks in the beginning. Once this road is roughed in, then they can bring everything up to the top of the hill and spread it all out and have everything right there so they can start constructing the array. Because my understanding is, and I'm not the installer, but it's once they start laying out and start doing the racking, they want to boom, 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 they want to knock it out really, really quick.
Yeah. Ken, of course, is our director of construction. He's going to have total control of the site. He's been with our firm for about 10 years. And Chris, you're correct. The panels are obviously the largest from a volume standpoint. The equipment, they're going to all come up. They're put on site. Then would be the racking. And then at that point, it's pretty much just a couple pickup trucks. Electricians, the laborers to do the work.
Do the stormwater basins get put in before you start clearing?
Yeah, you can see, and that's sort of laid out on the phasing plans. generally the first part of the phasing is,
And is this a lease? Is the solar developers leasing this land?
Yes, yeah, we're leasing the property.
From,
Pardon me?
from the town?
No, from an individual.
Is that a certain amount of time?
Excuse me. Yeah, the leases are, it's a minimum of 25 years. There are extensions. Then once the lease has expired, the system will be decommissioned and the property will be allowed to, will restore itself to its pre-construction activity. And as part of the building permit process, we'll have to post a decommissioning bond to ensure that the system can be removed should we not be around, but our intent is to be around.
So, I mean, is that the useful life for this project, is 25 years?
It's actually, it's probably longer. I mean, between 25 and 40 years. There are solar panels that are powering satellites that are 50 plus years old. What happens is that they actually become less productive every year. They lose 0.5%. There's degradation that occurs. So after 25 years, they're about 85% as efficient as they are day one. So there is a point of diminishing return
Right.
where it just doesn't make sense. But
It's not cost effective to replace those panels?
it really isn't. It may be at some point.
Maybe in 25 years?
25 years. I can't. I've given up trying to predict things.
I understand.
But what I will say is that the panels that we install will remain there for a minimum of 25 years,
Okay.
likely longer.
And the protection for children, could you repeat that again? There was a protection for children when it's all set up?
yeah, because the detention basins will fall inside the perimeter
Okay.
fence of the array, which is locked. You can't access it unless you have...
Okay.
All the equipment is within a locked fence. The inverters, the panels, everything. It's I think a 7-foot high fence.
Right. Oh, and there should be noted that the fence and the detail on the plans, there's a gap, there's a 6-inch gap under these perimeter fences to allow for small animals to crisscross the meadow once the project is done. Somebody asked about the stormwater and the phasing.
I did,
Yeah. So you can see on the phasing plan, there's 4 phases here. Phase 1 is they come in, they construct the main road, and they construct the stormwater basins for this phase. So that way, only that part of the site will be cleared. I should note, any perimeter erosion control measures are put in first before any work is done on site. So then you have phase 1, you build these 2. Phase 2 comes up over here. There's another area that gets built. The things get, the beginning of every phase, the first thing is to install the stormwater measures and the erosion controls before they start doing any other type of land clearing or construction on the site. And it's just built out in phases, so that way they're only opening up a certain part of the site at once. And you can see here too, we have multiple erosion control barriers. This will be surrounding the laydown, material laydown area, and then at certain changes in elevation, we have another barrier. And the good thing about using the filter mitts is during construction, if you need to move it, it's sort of one giant length. You can take it, move it over if a machine has to get through, and then move it back and restake it in place, that sort of thing.
Is it going to be the owner's responsibility to get rid of the old foundation and the former house that's up there at the top of the hill?
Yeah, I mean, that would have to be removed
That's going to happen beforehand.
before anything can be built.
That's not what that...
And then, of course, any erosion control measures would stay in place until signed off on by this board.
I know the foundation you're talking about, that might be outside the array footprint. I think that's right, it actually, probably right in here near phase 2.
It's at the end of the easement, just comes up off of Luston.
Yeah, it comes off the end of that
Yep.
Hackshaw Street.
So it's probably in phase 2.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board?
I was just wondering how many trees will you, not how many, but how big of an area were you going to have to tree?
The area of the limit of clearing.
The
Yeah,
total footprint's approximately 26.
26 acres.
Yeah, but there are already cleared areas.
Right.
26
Yeah.
acres.
Okay.
It doesn't include the areas that are remaining on the hill.
That is probably total space now with the big track up the top.
Mhm.
So maybe 13 acres of trees.
Okay.
This area, all this green. Oh yeah, we walked up there, I remember that.
Yeah, there's like 3 large areas, and there's some in the middle there where there are some trees, but partially treed, partially open.
And one of the, I say advantages of a solar development, unlike a residential or commercial development, is that this is really an interuse. At some point, the system will be removed, and the site will be allowed to be restored to its original state. And that's something that on any other development, you don't have that option.
Yeah.
All right. If there are no other questions on the board, if there are any questions from the audience, and if there are, please identify yourself by name and also your address, please.
Yeah, well, I'm Hernando Ward. I'm one of the residents on 441 Street, so the house that's literally right access road.
That right here?
Yeah, so a couple of questions. Of the how much of the forest will you be cutting on that access road here? Or is it like really a wooded area?
Could you petition?
Oh, yeah.
No. Okay.
So this is your house right here?
Yes.
Okay. So, the S-curve is kind of like oriented. Your close point is here, and then it sort of fades away. So at the closest point here, there would be sort of a buffer of about 40 feet here of wooded area, and then it's going to increase up to more than 100 down here, and then even further when you get to the bottom of the hill. Does that answer your question? Or?
But along the road, are you planning to maintain?
Oh yeah, all this is going to remain wooded, everything in here.
Along the road?
This stand of trees, this is all going to stay. The trees are going to come in, they're connected to the wooded area in here. This big area is going to stay. So the idea is to not just have to cut a whole swath, but that by zigging back and forth, we can leave areas of existing trees in place.
Do you mean along Leicester Street, or do you mean along the access
along
road?
the access road.
Okay.
He means the width, so
Yeah,
so the road is 20 feet wide of gravel road, and then we're gonna have to clear beyond that to take care of slope.
Yeah,
And
there.
the soil erosion measure, so what would the total width?
Well, like for example, in this piece here, you probably have a total width that's like 50, but when you get up to here, you get up to about 100 or maybe a little more when you're doing the basins. It varies depending on where the grade is in comparison to the existing ground wherever we are.
And the concept would be to disturb just what we had to get the feature in, including the soil erosion and storm drainage control. Otherwise, our goal is to maintain as much of the tree sight line in place as possible.
Yeah, I mean, the more trees we clear, it just makes us harder to deal with stormwater, so we want to try to leave as many natural trees and vegetation in place as possible while still being able to get through to do what we have to do to stabilize and grade out the road.
Everything that is highlighted in green, that is trees that are coming down?
Yeah, this would be, because you have detention ponds, you have the road, you have the grading associated with the side slopes of the road. So yeah, this would be the area that would be cut out. We will be installing a new double row of trees here to provide sort of another visual barrier up when looking up from the street. But yeah, in general, what you see, this is going to end up, anything other than the road will be the meadow grass or the trees were specifically pointed out.
The white areas will remain forested.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the audience?
Yes, I'm Brenton Murray, 445 Leicester. I'm just wondering, for property value-wise, is this going to have an impact on that? Because I bought my property specifically for the fact that there was wooded area out behind my house, and all that stuff. Also, the main thing, also the 2 drainage points. I'm smack dab right in the middle of both of them, and I have a well. So is that going to, get down into my well? Any of this byproducts or any of that stuff? This is just questions that
These are good questions.
for me.
First of all, they're no hazardous materials.
Yep.
And this is, solar panels are constructed of sand, and glass. That's what they are.
And well, during construction, have you guys got trucks up there and fuel and whatnot leaking out of the trucks? And
Well, I mean, that's part of our responsibility, and the Conservation Commission, the building official, they all inspect constantly throughout the process. I even invite you to keep your eyes open. You know, again, we're here long-term. And I could say to you that's not how we operate, but the proof is in our actions.
So-
And I think that when construction occurs, you'll be impressed. We take it very seriously because we're not a one and done. We've constructed probably 50 of these sites already, and we have another 50 to 60 that we will construct.
So do the outlying properties have any benefit from the solar panel field? Are we going to be able to
Yes.
get energy?
I'll tell you the immediate benefit is that we're going to be negotiating a pilot with the town. So the town is going to be generating considerably more tax revenue than they are right now, which is the benefit to the residents.
So is my taxes going to be going down, you're
Well, I have
saying?
to ask you that. I'm not going to represent that. But the only thing I will represent is that your revenue will go up. And that revenue
Can't answer
goes
that
up
question.
for
Can't answer that, right.
3 years. As far as the power, you as an individual resident, no. If the town participates in a cooperative where they buy blocks of power, we have the ability to sell power to that type of consortium at a discount. So that's something we can explore more with the town. That there's the ability, they're called alternate on-bill credits, where I can generate power from point A, and it can be sold virtually to other people within National Grid. And if the town participates in a program, there's a potential for them to get benefit.
And what, I don't know if you know the answer to the question, but what would the price per like kilowatt hour be?
It's a 10% discount.
A 10%?
Yeah, 10% discount. So it's just,
And sir, just to address your concern about any effect on your well,
Sorry.
this project is going to be reviewed by an independent engineering firm. They talked about the peer review. A project of this scope, I mean, given the amount of detention basins and just because it's a big project, we will have this whole proposal and filing peer reviewed, and they will give feedback if they believe that changes need to be made that will improve the project or reduce any well impacts or impacts on abutters. They will certainly come provide that information.
yeah, in fact, they focus, our experiences, the peer reviewers focus, their primary focus is stormwater.
Okay.
So, and they do their job. And we
That's
will
my main concern, is
Yeah,
just having clean water.
I
I mean,
understand.
obviously, I know you say the
Yeah,
solar
no,
panels, it's not like there's a...
Yeah, and the other thing that we're doing, as Chris mentioned, the level spreaders, these are, I mean, they're designed by almost over-designed by almost an order of magnitude. A typical level spreader for a basin like this, maybe 20 or 30 feet wide, it's 200 feet wide. So what that does, it slows the water down, it helps control the water. It's all, frankly, designed to address your concern.
If I could add to that too, because we're altering more than an acre of land, the contractor has to develop a stormwater pollution prevention plan. It's called a SWIP. It's a document about that thing. And it outlines how the project and all the redundancy to make sure that during construction the site stays clean and all the work is contained within the boundaries that are established on the property. Implementing that SWIP requires that an erosion control specialist be hired, and they have to review the boundaries of all the erosion controls and work with the contractor. They have to be out there once a week or after a quarter inch of rain. And I know this because I've been the SWIP inspector on a lot of these larger projects. And it's a lot of work. I mean, you go out there, you have to inspect all the erosion controls. If there's anything that looks like it's not being maintained or it's getting worn down, it has to be replaced. That all goes in the report. And on these projects, lately what we've been doing is we've been committing a 0 point to not only submit a copy of that SWIP report to the Conservation Commission, so they're aware of what measures have to be in place, but even the weekly erosion control inspection reports. We're happy to email those along to you on a weekly basis, so that way the Commission's kept informed about what's going on, what maintenance activities have occurred, and if there's been any breaches of sediment beyond the erosion controls.
Thank you.
I believe the question the gentleman had about property value is something we cannot answer.
I think I just wanted to ask, just to make sure I
know,
gotta get it out
let's
there. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Mr. Grabowski?
Where is your well located front or the back?
So it's on the back of my property. So this is my property right here. It's
Yeah.
probably right about here in this area.
So he's up here.
How deep is your well, sir?
That I'm not exactly sure of. I wish I had looked that up.
Yeah, they typically draw from a deeper
They
zone.
did. I think it is, but it's just something I wanted to
No,
ask just to get out there, you know?
It's, I understand.
Yeah.
And the controls that we are putting in
They think
place.
you'll get more
Number
water.
one, they're gonna
Yeah.
clean the water up. All right, and number two, it's, there's a difference between what's on the surface
Right.
and the water that you pull for domestic use.
And there's no fertilizers or pesticides or anything like that used on the meadows. There might be an initial fertilizer on the seed application, just to get it to germinate and grow, but that's it.
Yeah, most conservation commissions make us specifically put in the operation and maintenance program for the sites like this that you can't use herbicides, pesticides, insecticides. They don't want anything like that.
Yeah, no
use of any kind.
So now, is there any potential for disruption of the water well within the construction of the road? 'Cause mine is actually kind of limiting almost with your road. And mine is on the top. My water well is like right here in this corner of the property.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're not really sinking any structures into the ground per se, so it's not like we're putting all these foundations in or things like that. It's mainly surface grading and just pushing dirt around is what the gist of what the construction entails.
And that well has a casing, it has a concrete collar to isolate the surface from where the water is withdrawn. So there's, and by background, I'm an environmental engineer, so I actually know a little bit about this. So there's not going to be any impact at all.
And I would just add that this limit of work line that you see on this plan, where, the grading is going to start and stop, that's all outlined with those hay bales and the silt fence. So one of the first steps of this project is the surveyor returns to the site and stakes the location of where that erosion control boundary goes, all the way around the property. And then the contractor will come in and install those hay bales and the silt fence. So it's not an imaginary line, it's actually surveyed in, so we'll know for sure that we're, off your property.
Okay, Ms. Grabowski.
Yes, the one last thing. As you know, my company's EBT Inc. stands for Eastern Brook Trout. There's only 2 trout brooks in Auburn that I'm aware of, and I located both of them. They had fish and wildlife, electroshock. And the brook that runs parallel to Leicester Street is a cold water fishery. Comes out of, it's called Chapin Brook. It comes down from Stafford Street. In this brook that this intermittent stream flows into, I'm just ensuring that, as the term is under stormwater, it flows into or near, and the near is a subjective. We just in January had a adjudicatory hearing, and at 2,000 feet away, the judge considered near. So is this flow, or is your stormwater designed, or have your engineers looked at the proximity to the cold water fishery that this flows into? Because I know that brook coming down from Leicester is shown as a cold water fishery, and this tributary that you flow into, your intermittent, flows directly into that brook. And so anyways, it's cold water fishery, and we're near, and we would, because I'm the one that got that brook identified, and we would look to the peer reviewer and your stormwater people to ensure that we're probably designed towards a 1 inch in 24 hours and not a ½ inch in 24 hours.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Oh, as far as water quality volumes?
Yes,
Yeah.
right, the critical area design for stormwater.
Yeah, unfortunately, none of these basins are discharging toward that wetland, right?
Yeah, coming up. Well, this one comes down the hill here.
I mean,
This one comes
eventually,
out over here.
it's in the same watershed,
Near.
but it's not as though you're...
Like I said, 1,900 feet away, and was considered near by the adjudicatory judge.
Yeah, as far as the water quality volumes, we're not, the amount of impervious area that we're proposing on site is pretty de minimis.
Right.
And also the measures that we're proposing are consistent with what you can use for a critical area.
We'll watch that.
No, absolutely. The peer reviewer, I'm sure,
Please have
will
the
have
peer
any...
review engineer
We'll
take a look at that.
Yeah.
Sure, because there are so few cold water fisheries, and especially in Auburn. There's only one in the diversion that's down there over near the old Zare off of 20, which we located, and then there's this one. And those are the only 2 native spawning trout brooks
Gotcha.
in town.
Okay.
Sure.
Thank you, Glenn.
Any other comments from the audience? Sir, your name?
I'm Shannon, I live at 460 Leicester Street, and my land abuts in the woods on that side there. How close is the solar panels going to be to the lot line? Like, you said the fence is going to be like 7 feet off the lot line.
7 feet high.
No, 7 feet high.
7 feet high.
Yeah, it's a 7-foot high chain link fence.
Yeah,
We're required to be, I think it's, there's minimum requirements.
Yeah, it's like, in this, I think at the closest point here, you're probably looking at about like, it's like 30 feet off the wall, 30 to 40 feet off the wall. And that's just for one small row, and then it increases after that.
All right, thank you.
Well, given the fact that a peer review has to be done, and plus the fact that we need to visit the site, I'm not, okay.
Okay.
Well, what I was going to say, and sir, I'm more than happy to take your questions, but clearly this is going to have to be continued.
Sure.
And our next, just for your information, our next meeting is going to be on December 12th. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. What's your name and your address?
My name is Nikolai Mazalou. I'm from 447 Leicester Street.
Okay.
And my main concern is right behind my house is one of those stowaways, and it looks like I'm closest to it as well.
Is it this one here?
Down
Is that
there,
your house?
correct.
Okay.
So you said you have done a great job with designing that. In the event that it doesn't go according to plan, do you have an action put in place if I do get flooding in my house or water coming up?
Absolutely. First of all, we are required to operate and maintain these systems. And as I testified before, my company, we do that. So we'll give you our contact information. Our contact information is going to be on the fence. For some reason there's an issue, you call us up. We have that responsibility. All right? It's our responsibility to make sure these controls work and operate effectively. No ifs, ands, or buts.
When you have a chance, could you provide us with the locations of your other installations?
Well, absolutely.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. Is there any noise that the solar panels give off, or anything that the generators hold on to at all that they give off?
First of all, there are literally no moving parts in a solar system. The only equipment that gives off a low hum are the inverters that convert the power from AC to DC. We have studies that we can share with you that show that the noise it's significantly below background. So you will not hear anything at the property. You won't hear anything at the limited disturbance or our property boundary, and you'll definitely not hear anything in your home. And by the way, the system doesn't operate at night.
Okay.
Nothing works at night because there's no sun, so it just works.
Do you know what it is on a decibel scale?
Pardon me?
Decibel scale?
Yeah, at like from a, right next to the inverter, it's probably about 70 decibels.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but of course, as you move away, it goes down significantly. Background is 50 decibels.
What's considered background?
Background noise, it's just general noise.
How far away from the inverter?
I would
100
say
feet?
if you're 50 feet away, you'll be below 50 decibels.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it decreases exponentially.
Okay. Is there any radiation or anything that these components that are up there that give off at all that are harmful at all?
No, what happens is they absorb the sunlight. They don't give anything off. They absorb it. There's a reaction, a photochemical reaction that occurs from the silica that generates the power. The power is generated in DC, direct current. It then goes to the inverters and it's converted to alternating current, and that's how when it's connected to the grid. That's the power we use right now. You plug something into an outlet, that's alternating current.
Okay.
I have a question. How many, or what length of period of time, or how many years might there be a significant benefit from these, either to an energy source, as you mentioned, maybe a national grid, or any benefit to the town?
Yeah, well, the benefit, the panels will operate for anywhere from 25 to 40 years. Okay. So there's a continual benefit to the public because we're providing green energy within that time frame. The other thing we do is the infrastructure, the electrical infrastructure is fairly archaic. I don't know if you've experienced brownouts or power outages. We're going to be upgrading that infrastructure in the area. That's our expense. So that's a benefit to the public as a whole. The other benefit to the town is the fact that we're going to be negotiating a pilot payment. And we're going to be paying significantly more taxes to the town than the property realizes now. I mean, over the 40-year period, this project could generate well over $1.5 million in additional tax revenue.
Over that time period. Over that time period.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay.
Do you have a visual study of what the property will look like from my backyard?
Did we do that for the planning or not? Solar visuals?
No, we are going to be getting from Solar Visuals. We do contract with
We will be doing that as part of the plan. I would suggest if you want to come to planning, we will have that during planning.
That is next week?
Yeah, we may not have it for next week.
Yeah, no, we won't have it next week, but we will eventually have one because we're going to need to submit it.
Planning will be at least 2 meetings as well, because the peer review will not be done by the meeting next week.
So second meeting is the 27th.
27th.
One more question, sir.
David Delagargendier. My in-laws own property that's off of Henshaw Street. And my question is about the visibility study, if you are going to do one. Are we also going to get, or is the town going to get a visibility study that's going to show where this will be visible in other parts of the town? Like up on top of North Oxford Street or the Mass Pike area or any...
Well, we can, once they set it up, they can pretty much give you something from any viewpoints that you want, but generally...
Before they set it up, I'm concerned with, I mean, people are used to looking out their backyards and seeing trees. They're going to look out their backyards, they're going to see blue glass from a lot of places in this town. Then they should be aware of it.
Well, I think what we usually do is, on these visual studies, we'll have a certain amount of set views, and then if the board or anybody else requests more, they can always, they're very easy to generate additional views.
We're not going to do the studies after the system's installed.
Before.
They're going to be before. It's
During this permitting.
During the permitting process, okay?
All right. What's your preference in terms of a continuation for this hearing? Do you want to come back in December? Our next meeting, our first meeting in January is January 9th. It's not the 16th. Sheila.
Does the commission typically do a site visit? Have you already been to the site? I thought I heard.
No, I don't think we have been. It's not the same site because we...
way.
Way?
There's another one across the street. 430 Lester.
With an abandoned house
No.
at the top?
No, it's not. It's a different site because we already issued NOAA conditions for that.
Oh, I just assumed that...
It's a different applicant. So, no, we definitely do want to make a site visit.
Okay, sorry.
And I think I have obligations this weekend. I was going to propose, well, of course, the Saturday afterwards is still before Thanksgiving, so what day would that be? 17th? Could you do Saturday the 17th?
I have a wedding. We're in Williamsburg.
That's no excuse. That's fine.
It's not mine.
Okay.
Not my wedding.
Well, then you really don't have an excuse. Yeah, that's fine. Geez. So we'll have to figure, you know what? If you leave us your contact information, we'll figure something out.
Yeah, my email and phone number is right on the cover letter of the
Okay.
Notice of Intent application after the first page,
All right.
after the cover sheet. So feel free to let me know what works for you. Sundays also could work, or I don't know if there's time, maybe during the week. I know everybody works.
That's difficult,
Yeah.
but we'll see if we can figure something out. All right, we'll be in touch, though.
Let's find a time.
All right.
And we'll leave you, Paul McLean is our contact.
Okay.
So we'll leave you his question.
So the question, sir, is do you want to come back then? We have one meeting in December, and that's going to be December 12th. Do you want to come back then or in January?
Yes, I think the December 12th we would.
Okay, do we have anything on? Sheila?
It was just going to continue, that's continued in January.
No, December.
I'm talking about Marshall.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah. No, I think we can probably make it at 7.
All right. So 12 at 7?
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there a motion, please?
Motion that we continue the hearing for ZPT Energy Solutions to December 12th at 7.
Yep.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed to vote? All right, gentlemen, thank you. Thank you for everyone that came to the meeting tonight.
Just from 12 at 7?
12 at 7.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you for coming in. Very professional presentation.
Okay. Glad you have a card. So where was the others?
No, I'm trying to figure.
Good night, everyone.
But it's a different, totally different project.
What's that little oval track thing that's on it?
I don't know.
It's not where you went, I can't figure it.
Can you put it back on satellite view again, Allison? A little round oval thing at the
What's
bottom
the
of the
traffic?
hill.
Was there a
GPS
motocross track?
I
Yeah, that
know,
thing
it's
right
so
there.
overgrown.
I don't know what that is.
that
It
was
looks like a
the,
track of some kind.
I thought it was like an old hayfield, and that was just the track that the farmer used to get around it.
What is
Really?
it?
I have no idea.
Wow.
It wasn't that obvious to me when I was up there.
No, I know, what is that?
That is an old sort of very densely vegetated shrub area. It's like sort of on a plateau.
Cut it
and then
and
just
let
along
it-
the south, the southern edge of that, it slopes down off-site dramatically to
Isn't that crazy?
eventually
That
going
looks
to
like
a
a
wetland.
rectangle.
That's Henshaw.
It had to be a field.
Yeah, it had to be a field.
a road or is
Yeah.
But it's very, very
It's a
thick
street,
now.
no, it's a street.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
All right.
Goes right into Leicester from Auburn.
Okay.
It's an interesting site.
I've gone
say the
to these
least.
places, but I get, yeah.
All right, have a good night.
Thank you.
I gotta see you.
All right.
Sorry? No, that's the Oh, it's yours? All right, thanks for the.
All right.
You're welcome.
All right, we're way behind schedule here. The next item on our agenda is 7:30 public hearing. Ian Fitzgerald for Guest 28 Millbury LLC, request for determination for the expansion of an existing parking lot at 28 Millbury Street. Is there a motion open?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye, opposed, the vote. Good evening.
I feel bad that no one's interested in my parking lot expansion.
We're
No,
into
you
that.
don't feel that bad.
I'll give it a hard time.
He will, so we don't want that.
Yeah, my name is Owen Fitzgerald. I'm the property manager for 28 Millbury Street.
Okay.
And the reason I'm here and looking at this parking is we have a new tenant who is taking 139,000 square feet on the second floor of an existing building.
Okay.
So the old Filene's basement building.
Yes. Good.
So that second floor is sat pretty much vacant for 8 years, I would say now, since Filene is gone.
Right.
Carl Stores is relocating. They're a medical device company relocating from Southbridge.
Okay.
Good news is bringing a lot of jobs with them. And when I was looking at the parking, there's a requirement for installation of an elevator, and it's on the north side of the building. That's where the proposed location is going to be. So that's actually 26 that you're looking at with the black roof.
Okay.
It always comes up that way. The the beautiful
Okay.
brown gravel roof is us.
Gotcha.
So actually that roof has been changed in the last couple of months, but
right.
so pretty much so that you see the Ramshorn Brook
Yeah.
is running behind it. So the proposed expansion of the parking lot, the reason for the expansion is installation of the elevator is taken up about 4 places, and then on the opposite side of the existing north parking lot, the architects who were designing the build-out wanted to remove another 4 parking spaces so that people weren't parking over there and risking reversing into the new vestibule for the elevator. So to relocate and just to maintain parking, what we looked at doing was expanding the parking lot that's at the west end, so that kind of lighter grey one. Yeah, exactly. So what we wanted to do was to take that kind of odd-shaped parking lot and almost just square it out, get in another row, and then to create a divider between the drive lane that's in there where you can see the 2 yellow speed bumps, create a divider of just a landscape bank that's approximately 8 feet wide, put some minimal landscaping in there, but create a better separation between the parking lots, and then that would relocate the 8 parking spaces I have and then add I think 3 extra parking spaces. So there's no proposed modifications to the drainage. I had Langen Engineering create the plan that was submitted, and they do have noted down the silt fence, and then the protection and the anti-drainage that was around. So, as you see in that area, we've got the section of grass. It's less than 10,000 square feet of additional asphalt that we will be putting in there. Obviously you've got the driveway between, the road that goes to the back of the building is separating us from the brook. So that's the proposed scope of work.
Okay. Well, I think we should take a look.
Do you have this plan?
No, actually, I don't.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have a couple of these with me.
No, I didn't get it.
Let me. I may have a couple more.
Oh, yeah.
So that's.
Is that something new that just came in, or no?
No, this is
That was
the.
part of the ones you gave.
So you can see the outline of the existing parking lot and then the proposed new parking lot. It's limited to this area here.
Okay.
This is the proposed landscape
You
bank,
got this one.
leaving the space that employees can go in here, and then there will be a.
That's the new one.
Where's the well in relation to the work?
It's so the drive lane is down here, and there's a brook that's kind of on the other side of the.
Okay.
Yeah. So. Somewhere around here is the brook. So we're keeping everything on this side of the.
Okay, so you're more than 100 feet away from the wetland area, correct?
Yeah, I think I was within the 200 feet is what we saw
Is it
last time.
perennial?
Yes.
It is? Thank you, Glenn.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay, that's all right. I knew you couldn't resist, Glenn.
We did the project all through there on the other side of the brook.
I think we still need to take a look though.
Is there going to be additional stormwater?
Not if there's
No.
a negative determination.
There was none proposed. It's just to grade it to the existing drainage. No.
No, that's what
That's
goes
a
on.
body shop, or service station type of thing. Measurements towing.
Oh, at 34, yeah, but I think she's talking about the other one.
Yeah, she's
Right,
on
yeah.
34.
Can you just move that down just a tad? I just want to, no, the other way. Where's Mill Street?
Mill Street.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do have some photographs from the roof of the building, just looking down at the existing parking lot,
Yeah.
showing just kind of areas of where landscape area. I have them here if you have any interest.
Sure. You can give it to Ms. Conway.
Picture
Go
of
for it.
everything. Why
Come
not?
on.
It's on
Yeah, it was some books.
Millbury, okay.
And
So,
then
I'm sorry, so you're removing some parking, right? Is that the idea?
correct. I can show you actually in the back.
You want to look at that?
It's
Yes.
there's no. So this is purely a parking. This is. Let me show you here. It's actually still to be finalized. The final elevator location, and it's by a separate architectural firm that's working for the tenant. But initially they had said that what they were going to do was to come out here, build a vestibule with an elevator that brings you to the second floor. That may get shifted to this side. So, but either way,
Yeah, no, not
they
really important.
they wanted to build a vestibule,
So they're
block
just
off
taking
the
out
spot.
8 spots and then they're adding,
I was adding 11 spaces.
that's all they need? You're going to add spots and then they just only add 11?
Well, we've got, what is it, 251 spaces.
Right.
So it's just to maintain.
Losing the 8 is really going to notice, they'll notice that?
No, Caleb just asked me, he's like,
That grass.
maintain the parking you have.
Right.
We're existing
The
non-conforming.
area of work.
So
and rims on the road,
after talking to him, he's
whatever,
like, just
correct. You know,
maintain what you have, and he's like,
So it's just where-
that's fine. So I'm just trying to keep it as small as
yeah,
possible,
like in
not to
front
put
of
as,
that arrow a little bit.
this was the kind of,
Above it.
the way that we figured it was going to create least amount of
Gotcha,
blacktop.
no, it's great,
Yeah.
like it.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions?
I'll
Okay,
leave this
so
with you, Sheila.
Okay, thank you.
we'll continue this to, can I have a motion, please?
You can hold that
Motion
right
to
here.
continue this hearing to December 12th, 2018
At,
at
7:30 is what we
7:30
decided on.
p.m.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
No yawning, please.
Sorry.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed,
Aye.
vote. Thank you, Mr.
Perfect.
Fitzgerald.
Thanks very much.
and we're glad to see you.
Thank you,
You're
Owen.
welcome.
No problem, thanks you.
All right. The next item on our agenda is 7:35, public hearing for Johnny Johnson.
Here.
There's no representative for Mr. Johnson. Again, it's not you.
What's up with that?
No, no,
Go ahead.
No.
It's Jason.
Yeah.
Here it is.
So he hasn't appeared at several of our meetings. I don't know if he expects this stuff to get done by itself, but as I've indicated, I'm
Is
serious.
that the one we had
It's
the
not gonna
peer
happen.
review on,
It's not
was
gonna
it?
happen.
Not gonna happen.
That was when we had the peer review.
In fact,
Oh.
yeah, and if memory serves, didn't we send a letter to him at the last meeting? Or when we supposed to send him a letter at the last meeting?
Septic
saying,
system.
show up?
We need a
So,
resurvey.
We're not going to take any action on this. We're not, and Sheila, do not
Yeah.
put it on our agenda for December 12th unless he's going to
I
come.
think he told me to put it on.
Well, he's not here, is he?
Yeah, no.
And he hasn't been here either, so
No.
we'll continue it generally, just like Scribner, and,
Okay.
you know, when he wants to appear before the board, he can notify us.
All right.
Okay, so do not put it on the
All right.
agenda for the 12th, and do not put Scribner on the agenda for the 12th unless he
Okay.
affirms that he's going to be here.
Is there a site plan that shows what they're planning to do?
I believe there is. I think we got one.
I do.
Didn't we get one? Didn't we have one at the time of the last meeting?
Well, we won't worry about it.
I have it right here.
It's on
No,
here.
we're not.
Oh, it's that one?
I just got this
I need a
today.
resurvey.
We got a new one.
This today, this one.
Is that the new one?
No, this is the plan for 28.
I thought we had received a new plan for Mr. Johnson. Is that
I
not
have
correct?
not seen it, definitely not. Since
No,
when I was-
that's the one
This is the
25
old
years ago.
Right, you're just gonna have to redo it.
I thought we had gotten one, Sheila. Maybe I'm mistaken.
This is
Is this a new one?
I believe it is.
Okay.
So I think, actually, you might have sent this to us by email, Sheila.
That came off my email.
Yeah, do you remember sending us an email,
Yep.
Sheila?
Remember that? That came off my
Yes.
email, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in any event, gotta present it.
Okay. And that was,
And then finally, last but not least,
that was the one that
This one.
we got the written,
It was so old.
that was the
we
one
needed
with the
an
septic,
Right,
right?
a septic plan
The
that's
septic
ancient.
plan, and then we
Oh.
had somebody else do a peer review on it because we thought there might be another
no,
location.
no, no, no.
No,
That's
no, we told
411
him-
Leicester Street. That's
Right,
Scribner.
that's Scribner.
We told him he needed to
707
redo it, and then he
was-
was
Redo his
back.
plan,
Yeah.
okay.
Was the one where he submitted a 25-year plan with a 25-year-old wetland delineation. We told him we need a new...
Redo it.
Yeah, and apparently he did.
I
Okay.
guess I got that off.
All right. The last item on tonight's agenda is a 7:45 public hearing, Massive Family LLC notice of intent for the construction of a parking lot with underground detention at 2428 and 35th Ave in Auburn. Is there a motion open?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second that?
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, vote.
Thank you, Conservation Commission, again, Mr. Garden, Blinkowski, EBT Environmental. We've been waiting for apparently the final peer review from Graves Engineering and the answers by existing grade, which I did send to Sheila today. I believe you may have seen him, Sheila.
Yeah.
Maybe you passed them on, but it appears there are
think I
no
emailed
more
them, but
issues with
I
Mr.
don't know.
Coyle, DOT, which is adjacent to us over here. Mr. Coyle with the stormwater access is going in. One access instead of two was too close to the drive. Stormwater being tied into our existing stormwater on the site, which is the service facility. And that question number one, it dealt with the stormwater. We believe we're going to be closing at the planning board meeting coming up. And this is just to keep you abreast of how far we've come along with finally closing in on that peer review.
All right, so when is the planning board meeting? Is it next week?
Yeah, next Tuesday.
So that being said, we would ask to be placed on your next agenda that we may possibly be able to close if you're all set. We did have an agreement on the wetland line earlier on this. I don't believe you were here at that time.
Who was?
Were you here that? I'm sorry.
All right, sounds good to me. So Sheila, shall we say 12:12 at 7:40?
Yeah?
Okay. Sir, can I have a motion to that effect, please?
It did look like you need to
Kenny Glenn?
Apparently not.
revitalize the stormwater stuff out there. There's a lot of soil piles. It's just like
On this site or on
this site.
this site or not the next site?
It just seemed like there was like some pretty beat up straw wattles and that was it. And water everywhere and sediment everywhere. I mean, I know it was a really bad storm, but
Well, I had them maintain these silt sacks and also ensure that we kept this hole open
right.
to ensure water was going into that location, and we will look at those
Just
stormwater
check it out
measures
again.
tomorrow.
It looked like it was just a little bit.
All right. We'll have the contractor, which is working the adjacent site, and Mr. Simon Senior, who has just his equipment there. I will be on the phone with them when I leave here to ensure that we're checking those erosion controls tomorrow.
Okay, very good.
Thank you for...
All right, you want to sign this, Glenn?
Appreciate it.
Thank you, no, I appreciate it, thank you.
So is there a motion to continue the public hearing?
I make a motion, we continue the public hearing for the Masad family, so notice of
Thank you.
intent.
Okay.
Construction of parking lot, etc., to 12/12 at 7:40.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, the vote.
Just 12 at 7:30?
Yeah.
7, yes,
Did you have a time on that?
7:40.
7:40.
It was 7:40. Thank you again.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you.
All right, so before we can adjourn, we have a couple of matters to take care of. We have to issue an order of conditions for Mr. Pope, even though the work is done. So, if someone has the intestinal fortitude to do that.
Sure, Tom's ready. You can tell.
Look at nothing
He's
but
prepped.
I know, it's ridiculous.
He's prepped.
Okay. Be very precise on this, Tom.
Ready?
He's good.
Make a motion that we, for Alvin Pope, 515 Rochdale Street, we issue a standard order of conditions and the following special orders. 1, 2,
You can waive 3.
we can wait, yeah.
Sign it.
5.
5,
I don't think there's any riprap at the property.
1, 2, 5,
8,
8,
8.
9,
11.
11, 13, no, not even 13.
No.
All
No, 13.
All right, so,
That's it.
Do you know that's
so there's a motion to issue an order of
Good night,
conditions.
Glenn.
Good night.
Thank you.
Standard order plus 1, 2, 5, 8, 9, 11.
Got it.
Is there a second?
Second that.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, it's a vote.
Hey.
Okay, and then for
Okay,
Mr.
just get, do I want to sign it?
Yeah, please, I'm sorry, I don't mean
It's
to
okay.
rush.
Okay.
Like to rush. Me too.
Well, we don't usually run this late.
Here we go.
Okay. Cute.
Talk about a full agenda.
Pretty well, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that solar project is a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, gosh.
Thank you.
And then for Mr. Ryder, this is where he wants to take the trees down. So is there a motion?
Are we gonna look at the trees?
Motion that we leave a negative.
Concerned about if they're alive or not?
Well,
or-
whether they're alive or not, frankly, is
Yeah.
immaterial. It's his property. If he wants to take them down, he can.
Well, it's right along this wetland that is, of concern to other people, and doesn't seem to be, planning to replant anything or worried about erosion control or...
Well, he's going to leave the stumps in place, so that the root structure
Oh, he
will
did
remain
say
in
that?
place. He
Yeah.
does.
He said that. He's cut them down as well as he could.
And he said at least one of the trees poses or has been dangerous. They're tall trees. They're probably near the pine trees. They're probably near the end of their lifespan. I know I've got a bunch of them on my property. They're about 80 or 90 feet high. I've already had one fall in a pool. So I mean, I think for safety issues, that he can take, even if they're healthy, if he wants to take them down, he can. So the question really is, he filed with us because we have jurisdiction. He's indicated the stumps are going to remain in place. So, I mean, we cannot prevent him from removing those trees. So if you issue a positive determination, make him file notice of intent to remove trees. I mean, it's not like he's developing the property, he's taking the trees down. So that's all I'm gonna say. And I don't have a dog in this hunt, I really don't.
I don't know what that means, but.
It means that I'm just looking at it, trying to look at it objectively. I have no interest. I don't know Mr. Chandler. I don't know so, I mean, we can take a look if you want, but we've closed the public hearing. So, we have to really render a decision within 21 days, and we're not going to meet again within 21 days, so it's problematic.
Okay.
So, is there a motion?
I make a motion that we issue a negative determination for Mr. Chandler.
It's really Stephen Ryder.
Stephen Ryder.
Yeah.
Okay, for the removal of 5 to 8 trees along the abandoned trail on property at 35 Rockland Road.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote.
All right, let's just get that out. Whoops, Determination, where are we? Here it is. Here we go.
So right now we have 3 matters scheduled for December 12th?
Yes.
Okay. What I would propose, since we've, been at it for about 2 hours, is that I know we have minutes to approve, but I would suggest we defer action on the minutes until the next meeting.
We're good.
So we're not meeting in November with our next meeting will
No.
be December 12th? Okay.
No,
All right.
no.
That would
So just
violate
know
our
that
policy.
packet I
That'll
gave
violate our
you,
policy as
that
well.
packet I gave you is going to be 12/12.
Okay.
All right. If there's nothing else...
Oh, yes, there is.
Uh-oh.
3 Sophia Drive.
Yeah, what
Which
is,
is?
who is that?
They were looking for a certificate of compliance request on one real old order of conditions and then another one that's,
Well, they're both old, right?
yeah.
98?
Well, they know 98, that's our town number, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Where is Sophia Drive? Does anyone know?
That's up off of Upland, right, part of this house is in Worcester.
Oh.
Right across from Upland Gardens.
Oh, I know.
Oh,
Yeah.
I remember that.
Oh, that's...
Didn't they do
that-
something down there?
that
Would they
arbor
put stones
tree
or
in-
something along the river or something? And we were like,
I
nah,
used to
Yeah,
go
there was
that
the
way.
problem with number 1, remember the
Yeah.
foundation too close?
that's what it was, yeah.
Yeah.
So you know what? We'll take a look,
In there.
because we're not going to
Okay.
issue a certificate
One
without taking a
Sophia
look.
All
Drive.
right, okay,
Are
so
they
what,
required to give us an as-built?
yes, I did get it.
Oh, you did?
Yep, right here.
Okay.
3 Sophia
That's
Drive.
the old one, wait a minute. Here's the new as-built, is that going to be okay without any wetland, anything?
We don't have that.
Yeah,
You know what that is? That's a
an
plan
as-built
for-
plan,
for-
as-built plan for the foundation.
It's an as-built plan, like when they apply for a mortgage.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, that's all it is.
no, it's not a tape survey.
Close.
Oh.
No, it's
It's
accurately
It's a
depicts the
certified plot
location.
plan, yeah.
It's
Yeah,
just,
what's
it's for the
around it?
foundation, it's a
Right, right.
foundation plan, really.
Right.
It is a foundation
Yeah.
plan. It doesn't show wetlands, that does it?
Okay, because this was the
No,
original
around it.
plan that was sent back,
Now,
in-
see,
but this is the
We don't have
2012 proposed.
okay, now, that does not
on
look like
here.
that.
Yeah, I
Right.
know,
We don't have those either.
like this.
So I'm not sure, that
Yeah.
qualifies as
All
an
right, so I'll
as-built
tell
plan.
them to get me a better plan, and you
Yes.
want to do a site inspection?
After we get the as-built plan.
Okay, yeah, well, you have to do that first.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there anything else?
What about 416 South Street?
Oh, I'm sorry. If you're going to discuss that, then I have to depart.
Okay, what happened?
Did you close? Did you close the public
We
hearing?
did close the hearing, right?
We did close the hearing.
All right.
You know what? If you close a public hearing, you have to issue an order of conditions. And I can't be involved, as you know. So,
Okay.
so actually, Tom, I think you have to take over again.
All right.
Okay, so we're doing this for...
Okay, so this
for Terrian.
Okay.
So there's no opportunity.
I love getting
to
your
site
notes
visit?
because it reminds me of everything we did
Well,
tonight.
we can go
Sheila,
there anytime before he
Sheila,
starts
I love getting
construction.
your notes, your meeting minutes,
Um,
because then I remember everything we did.
Yeah.
I know it's hard for you.
So nothing you saw out there,
The only time I went there was the day that you and I went there.
right, but you don't,
But I haven't been out there, and he's like, "Oh, well, I will bring you guys there if you guys want to see, like the you know, like he was saying that he went down for the soil borings as far as
Right.
where we thought there might be
No,
water
I
and stuff."
understand, I just didn't know if, because we closed the public meeting, we're not allowed to then...
No, we can.
More.
He's
You
still
can
gonna
still
have
go
to.
look, but you've got to
Right.
issue something within 21 days, and we're
Right.
not going to be meeting against the problem.
So, okay, so we have to issue something.
By moving the meeting up a week and then skipping the second week meeting, we're into December, we're over a month away.
Which is over 21 days.
And if we don't act, then they can just do whatever. So,
Okay, I went there myself. I went
Yeah.
down and back. I had nobody talking to. I just went there myself, and I didn't see any problems. But I didn't go into the details of it. I had no Glenn there. I went
Yeah.
there myself.
I mean, we just were...
Yeah, we went there. We just walked in
Did you guys walk in the water?
all the way down. Yeah, we
Way
went
down to see where the
past,
waterway
right.
was? Okay, and was there waterway anywhere close to where you?
Well, there was stumps. Did you go all the way in where there were stumps way down the bottom of it?
Okay. Okay.
But see, the best way to
So
handle
what do you
that
think?
too is when we do this, like the special conditions,
Yeah,
when
just
they put in
put in
erosion
there.
control measures, we can go out there and look where they're putting the erosion control measures
Okay.
out to make sure
Not
that.
gonna move the
Yep,
system
that
back
would be
30 feet like he could, and would probably protect the wetland and
Yep.
the buffer zone and all these other things. We have
Yep.
this really steep slope that's gonna be bleeding water. I don't know, apparently...
No, I didn't get details, so.
well, it looked like an awful big system. I don't know how big the house is going to be.
big.
But holy
Big
mackerel.
area.
What do you say, 80 by
It's a big area.
40 or something?
It's way up there. You're gonna
The
get a way
septic?
around South Street.
Yeah, it's a big septic system.
Yeah,
But it's a big piece
one.
of land. I mean,
It
it
is.
goes way down.
Yeah.
It's like a meadow.
Yeah.
It goes
Yeah.
way down. There's a house on the right, there's a house on the left.
Yeah.
And when you get way down there, they did some tree work years ago.
Yeah.
The stumps and everything are still there.
Huh.
You know, you went to the curve. You go up South Street to the curve, then you go all the way around, and Barn Street goes over here, and he's off of South Street.
Oh,
over there.
okay.
I mean, it would have been nice to see the soil.
Yeah.
And have him show me and not feel... It just seems like odd that the wetland would just kind of nicely just go down the property line and not, like, just follow the topography. It just seems odd to me. I don't know. I've been mapping wetlands for a lot of years now, and I don't think Glenn's like trying to pull one over on us. It just would have been nice to see. So,
No,
all right,
Glenn's okay.
let's just
Yeah,
get it over
Glenn
with,
is
I guess.
very diligent.
It doesn't
Okay.
help when we're being
Yeah.
like not
Yeah.
encouraged to go see the site and that kind of stuff. So,
No, he had offered to show it to everybody.
no, I know, but
Yeah.
it was going to be just me by myself.
Yeah.
I just felt like I need more than myself.
Yeah.
To,
Go to
otherwise, it's
that.
just me against you
Yeah,
guys.
I
Like I
know,
don't
I
want
know.
to fight
Yeah,
with you guys. I
yeah.
want you to see what I see and let's talk about it
Yeah.
together. So, anyway, we should just try to not push off those site visits next time.
Well,
Do I have a
what are
motion?
we doing? Oh, need a motion. I make a motion that we issue a negative determination.
No, this was a...
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, where are we?
This is
I'm
a
sorry.
notice of intent.
This is a notice of intent.
Conditions
Oh,
for
notice of
issue.
intent, sorry.
For Rich William Thurian.
A notice of intent, that we issue a notice of intent.
No,
for-
an order of conditions. Sorry.
Say,
Order of conditions.
It's a long night.
that's going to be a very long night. Make a motion, we issue an order of conditions for Mr. William Terrian Jr., a negative determination.
No, an
No,
order of
I'm sorry,
conditions, and then you're
conditions
going
is
to
not-
have special conditions.
Special conditions. An order of conditions with special conditions. Okay,
Yeah.
here we go.
We need one.
Standard order of conditions plus one,
Yep.
5, 2,
Two's out and always.
2, 5, 6.
Okay.
Would you say 6?
You want three also.
Yeah, 6. I'll say 3. 1, 2,
1,
3.
2,
Yeah,
3,
1, 2,
5,
3.
6.
1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 9. No? What'd you say, 9?
8,
8, just, okay,
8, 9.
8, 8, 9, okay, 8, 9. 11. 12. And...
I don't believe there's any wetland restoration on there.
So that
No.
wouldn't be, so that's it, right?
11 and 13, no,
11,
11. There's
11.
no detention, yeah.
Okay.
So just 11?
Just 11
Yep.
then.
So
Just
1,
11.
2, 3, 5,
Yeah,
6,
six.
8, 9, 11?
11,
No,
yep.
3, did you say 3? 1, 2, 3,
1,
yep.
2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 9, 11.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And then someone's got to second that.
Yep.
No, I don't think we need 6. 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 9.
Yeah, we
She
can
did
delete
6.
6.
We could
5
delete
5
6.
covers.
You don't have to
need
have
6. You don't need 6.
1, 2, 3,
okay.
5, 8,
Yep.
9, and 11.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 9, 11. Got it.
Okay.
Very good. All right.
And,
Thank you for your help.
This is the longest meeting we had in a
I
long
don't know
time.
if there was
I know it.
anything
Yes.
else. You can add other
Like a
things
year.
onto that order if it
Yeah,
would make
I
you
mean-
happy. I don't know what you might want to put on there.
I just don't know enough to know what I would want to know.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
doesn't know enough.
I mean,
Whoops.
yes, it would be
Wow.
nice.
Thank you.
What is this? What is that? Is that yours?
Yeah.
It's,
That's mine, I
yeah,
think.
20.
Is that yours?
Oh, she goes, okay. We done with that, Uncle Michael?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, so we didn't have anyone second that.
No, I'll second it.
Okay. We did it.
It is all in favor?
Yes.
All in favor?
Huh?
Aye.
Aye.
Vote. There we
Yeah,
go.
Carolyn
I seconded it.
made the motion.
I made the
You
motion, I'm sorry, I made the motion.
She seconded it,
Seconded.
and you're all
Supported.
in
We're all in.
agreement.
We're all in favor. Yep.
Thank you. And I've
Good
got it
job.
signed in here. Okay.
Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, we got everything.
I'll second that.
All right, so what's happened with Goodman then? What did we decide on?
Oh,
We're
we
gonna
decided-
We're sending
Oh,
it
it's
to DEP.
DEP,
Okay.
DEP.
So
Were we
I'll-
going to second and fine him first and then think of just,
What happened was, a letter was supposed to go out to him, giving a deadline of November 1st. The letter was not written.
I didn't do it.
So,
My fault.
and, again, it's a public hearing, it's available at the town website, and there was no contact, I presume, from Mr. Goodman or from,
No, no one's got in touch with
I
me.
think he thinks we're kidding.
I don't know what, but in
No,
any
we don't
event,
know that
So,
either.
we're going to let DEP handle it.
so we're going to do site visits, do we want to
Wait,
just
I
kind
made a
of?
motion to adjourn, there was a
Oh.
second, did we vote on it?
I don't think so.
I don't
Well, I
think
was
so.
just wondering, have we ever had an agent in Auburn?
No,
Paid
we,
agent? Never?
well, we subcontract out, like
Right,
Margaret
but
Washburn.
not
or-
like someone
Not an
who's just
agent.
like...
No, we don't have one like,
Because the town has no funding for it.
but
Where
we
does
have
all the
money.
money
No, we have money.
We have
We
money.
do have money.
Yeah, we have the money. That's what we just use it as on a as needed basis.
Right. Just feel like it would help.
It would help. The problem is whether or not we have the authority to hire. And I don't know that we do.
Well, I thought
Maybe
they
No,
just someone
we-
to 10 hours a week.
We have the authority to hire consultants
Yeah.
for projects.
For certain
Yeah.
This, keep in mind, an agent, are they a contractor? Are they considered a town employee? I mean, we don't have that authority. I think, and I don't know how much money we have in our budget. I'm all in favor of having a conservation agent. And it's something that perhaps we can take up with the town manager,
Yeah. Oh,
So maybe,
we've got a nice little chunk of change in there.
well, I understand
40?
that, but the question is whether, we want a position that's funded every year.
Yeah.
And so even if we say had the resources to hire someone on
Yeah.
a part-time basis, could we guarantee that there would still be money to keep them on, year after year?
Well, I think,
So like
usually
that
Margaret's
gentleman
very
says,
available.
taxes.
Who else do we
I would make a
use?
suggestion for Judy Lochner, because she helped Matt years ago when I first moved to town and came on this board.
Yeah.
And she's the one, she's the one that got me involved,
Names
right.
sound familiar.
But she's helped this town, she's helped
Yeah,
other towns.
Okay.
She might be someone to be willing to be on a part-time if we were able to
I don't know.
Yeah.
bring somebody in.
So maybe, why don't we do this? Maybe you can, the on our next meeting, or maybe
Yeah.
before then, you can tell me what we have in our budget,
Okay.
and then perhaps we can approach Julie. But I just, it's not something, I think it's more involved,
Yeah.
You know, and if it's like maybe seasonal, when like only our busy season or something.
Maybe.
You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
No,
it'd
I
be
think,
worth considering.
I absolutely agree. I think there's a need for it.
All right, so what site visits you're going to have to set these up to? You
Right.
got Henshaw Street.
Henshaw, 28
and
Millbury.
whoever wants to go by 28 Millbury can do that.
That's easy. That's a
that.
quick trip, actually.
Yeah.
But Henshaw's going to be quite involved, I think. That could be an
Oh,
hour
yeah.
or 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, were we all set with Faith Ave, or?
Well, it's been continued, so
Yeah.
we
Well,
have,
I'm
our
gonna
next
want to
meeting's
go
going to
over
be in
there.
5 weeks.
Yeah,
All right, so between now and then, we can go over there.
okay. And then, so
And in
Marshall,
theory, they're gonna send us some report that's fixed all the problems that they had with their peer review
yeah.
between now and then.
How about 3 Sophia?
We just got that one for exit, I didn't even have a chance to read it yet.
Yeah, they need to provide us with an as-built
Okay.
plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I think I made a motion to adjourn. I'm not sure there was a second.
I'll
Was there a
second that. I'll second it.
Okay, is there any discussion? All those in favor?
So you made a motion to adjourn?
I did.
Okay.
You did, and I
Who
seconded it.
Oh,
And then
did.
people start talking.
oh, sorry.
It's fine. It's okay.
9:07, my goodness.
We haven't, I know.
I started talking, I said, I'll second that.
You're adjourned, right?
Yes.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Oh, I thought it was...